This is News 4 at 5.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Your backwards views have got to go!
Protests breaking out in downtown Reno after a leaked Supreme Court draft revealed plans to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Democrats say it's an attack on women's rights. Meanwhile, Republicans are celebrating the news.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Shelby Sheehan.
I'm Joe Hart. Abortion rights in this country could soon change dramatically.
A leaked draft from the Supreme Court shows 5 justices are looking to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's our top story for you tonight. Hundreds of people took to the streets outside the federal building in Reno earlier today to voice their concerns. News 4's Audrey Mayer was there and joins us live in our newsroom. And Audrey, emotions are running high tonight on both sides.
Yes, Shelby, and for those protesters, their message was pro-choice. It's important to note if the Supreme Court does make this decision, it would not affect abortion rights in Nevada. Nevertheless, those who gathered today in downtown Reno say this potential vote could threaten their rights and the rights of other states. Here's what the crowd looked like, both women and men coming to advocate for pro-choice legislation, people chanting and sharing their personal abortion stories and how it impacted them. They were there for about 2 hours while drivers honked in support or booed in disapproval as they drove by.
Yeah, I fundamentally believe that it's your decision whether or not you want to start a family, and it's your decision whether or not you feel that you can provide the lifestyle and the life that you want for your child.
I also talked to the executive director of a pro-life organization called Nevada Right to Life. In her words, the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade would be a, quote, win for democracy by allowing states to regulate abortions as they see fit. She also believes there should be an investigation into the leak.
Good thing, the other really great thing is that the unborn child is finally getting its day in court. And so at some point in the future, hopefully, the unborn gets a little bit more protection.
There will be another pro-choice rally planned for this Saturday in downtown Reno at 11 in the morning. Live in the newsroom, Audrey Mayer, News 4 on your side.
All right, thanks to Audrey. And groups are out protesting nationwide today. This was the scene in Washington, D.C. outside the Supreme Court earlier today. Many of the protesters held signs reading, "Choice is a human right and abortion is health care." And those protests are still going on. This is a live look now at the crowd outside the Supreme Court at this hour. Demonstrations in the morning were relatively calm. The crowd has grown significantly throughout the day there in Washington, D.C.
Abortion has been protected in the Silver State since 1990. Ben Marjat is taking a closer look at how that came to be and the reaction from top candidates. Ben?
Shelby, back in 1990, over 63% of Nevada voters chose to strengthen the existing Nevada law around abortion. Abortion is allowed up to 24 weeks. The referendum that passed in 1990 made it so that law could only be changed with another vote of the people. That would require a big effort to get this issue on the ballot again. And recent polls show significant majorities of Nevadans do support the right to get an abortion, so they would have an uphill climb. And then if it were to be overturned, the state legislature could then move to change that law. Long story short, it would be very hard to change the laws in Nevada, which pro-life Republican candidates have acknowledged. Adam Laxalt, running for Senate, said it's an historic victory, but that it's settled law in Nevada. Joe Lombardo, a top candidate for governor in the Republican primary, is pro-life. And then he also added this when we interviewed him in March.
Well, I have 3 exceptions, and that's the health of the mother, sexual assault, and incest. That would be the exceptions on the pro-life piece. I support the existing laws that are in the state of Nevada.
Lombardo also just released a statement saying more or less the same thing, that the governor and legislature cannot make changes to abortion laws in Nevada. Only the voters can. Live in studio, Ben Marjat, News 4 on your side.
All right, thanks, Ben. Governor Sisolak took to Twitter this morning after finding out the news, and here's what he had to say.
Women should have control over their own bodies. And let me make this perfectly clear. As long as I'm governor of the state of Nevada, I will do everything in my power to protect a woman's right to choose. Everything.
And the governor also says, quote, in Nevada, we've made sure the government stays out of the personal decision of when and how to start a family, just as it should be, end quote.
Republican candidate for Governor Dean Heller is applauding the Supreme Court's decision. The former senator says he is pro-life and proud of it. In a statement, he says, quote, "I am the only proven conservative in this race and the only one who has consistently supported and voted to confirm conservative pro-life judges." He says liberals masquerading as pro-life advocates cannot be trusted. Well, masks may no longer be mandatory on public transit, but the CDC still recommends them. The agency released a statement today saying anyone older than 2 years old should still wear a face mask on airplanes, trains, and buses. The mandate was set to expire today, but a federal judge struck it down last month. The CDC has asked the government to appeal the ruling.
Pretty windy start to the week, that's for sure, but things are looking sunny and calm out there again tonight. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Matt Monroe. Matt, quiet for now, but later this week we'll see some of those winds making a comeback.
Yeah, especially Thursday and Friday. That could be really the windiest day of the week coming on up here in a few more days. But today it is absolutely lovely. Sunny 66. The winds are very light. Carson City, same deal there. Lower 60s in Truckee, low to mid 60s out to the east in both Fallon and Winnemucca. Now your allergies, if you're sneezing or your nose is running, probably because of tree pollen. It's back in the moderate zone, mainly for maple, birch, and pine. And then going forward here, much warmer tomorrow, back in the lower 80s. Stronger winds start to kick back in on Thursday, and then some cooler temperatures for the latter half of this weekend. That's, of course, Mother's Day weekend. Full forecast and big weather straight ahead.
All right, thanks so much, Matt. Well, questions still stand surrounding fire agencies' treatment of last summer's massive Tamarack fire. After thousands of acres burned, as seen here on the map, the U.S. Forest Service is ramping up its 10-year wildfire crisis strategy. News 4's Madison McKay spoke with several different fire agencies to find out more.
The fire environment has changed, and areas that were not flammable before are flammable now.
July 4th of last year, a big thunderstorm struck the Humboldt-Toiyabe National Forest about 16 miles south of Gardnerville, forcing 2,400 people from their homes, shutting down major highways, and destroying 23 buildings throughout forest communities in California and Nevada.
The Humboldt-Toiyabe National Forest on the east side of the Sierras reported 23 lightning fires out of that event, and the Tamarack fire was one of those.
The U.S. Forest Service posted this video on Facebook nearly 6 days after the Tamarack fire started on July 16, 2021, with the caption, quote, "The tactical management decision is not to insert fire crews due to safety concerns. However, this is not an unresponsive approach." The Tamarack fire would then grow to over 68,000 acres.
The Tamarack fire being up in the wilderness and surrounded by rock and very difficult to access.
Several agencies were working to control the Tamarack fire from early July to late August. Here's how they typically treat a day with lightning in the forecast.
We usually put into place what we call staffing patterns. And basically what that means is we will keep additional employees on duty, staff additional equipment.
But the biggest question fire crews need to answer during a thunderstorm?
What's going to make the big change for us is, are these conditions, these current conditions that we can expect, going to be determine a red flag day?
A red flag warning alerts fire agencies of immediate fire danger, allowing them to staff properly. However, we are just learning after getting the archive forecast discussion from the National Weather Service that they canceled the red flag warning the weekend the Tamarack fire started. Here's why.
So when we have a lightning event, typically it's 2 to 4 days later that a fire will get up and move, sometimes even longer.
Which is exactly what happened with the Tamarack fire. Not until days after the wet thunderstorm conditions passed did the fire start to explode, like in this photo taken here on July 16th.
We don't have a lot of control over the weather. We don't have a lot of control over many aspects of the fire environment, but we do have some impact we can do on fuels.
Land burned for miles. This is just part of the 68,000 acres burned. But now the U.S. Forest Service is implementing their wildfire crisis strategy.
But the wildfire crisis strategy specifically recognizes the events of the last couple of years throughout the West, recognizing the need for significant change.
For the next 10 years, the Forest Service is committed to reinvest in prescribed fires and more resilient landscapes. In Markleeville, I'm Madison McKay, News 4 on your side.
All right, an update now. A Reno middle school teacher accused of sexually assaulting a student for several years is now out of jail on bail. Jose Montelongo Flores posted $40,000 cash bail yesterday, according to court records. He was arrested on April 26 for multiple counts of sexual assault with a student under the age of 16 at Vaughn Middle School. A status hearing has been set for July 5th.
Short-term renters beware. There's a scam going around that you might want to watch out for. Several scams involving short-term rentals have been reported to Washoe County Code Enforcement just recently. These are scams happening mostly on Craigslist vacation rentals, but can be found on any platform. Here's how they try to get you. Scammers find believable property photos from a real estate or a rental site, use similar language, and then advertise the property for a low rate. Then they ask for payment through Bitcoin, Venmo, or other hard-to-track means.
I looked into it. I contacted the owners, and they were shocked to find that this was not an authorized listing. One of the owners wasn't even using their property as a rental, and they were very much taken aback that people were using their property to steal people's money, basically.
Oriole did not have a dollar amount for how much has been lost to this scam so far. He did say, though, that this is mostly happening in the Incline Village area. Look out for a couple of things. If the price is too good to be true, inconsistent spelling or weird grammar in the listing, and unverified rental sites. All those things are stuff to watch out for.
Well, Our Town has announced this year's festival highlights and headliners that are coming to town. The festival returns to Reno July 1st. It will run until the end of the month. It goes all month long. There will be more than 400 events this year, including concerts, classes, workshops, performances, of course. Some of the musicians and bands include Girl Named Tom, Vertigo Dance Company, Manhattan Transfer, remember them, and many more as well.
What's really interesting is that during the month, there will be 2 or 3 aha moments of artists that you didn't expect to do what they did. Just to shine, just to really stand out amongst everybody else. And you never know who that is until it happens.
And some other events include the Chalk Art and Music Festival, Gospel Fest, and a Garlic Fest this year as well, all part of Art Town. Russia is upping its attacks in Mariupol, Ukraine, coming up when Russian President Vladimir Putin could officially declare war, and what that means looking ahead.
From workers to fertilizer, shortages are taking a toll on the economy. I'm Atrel Nashar with what it means for inflation.
Okay, a lot of sunshine today, and then we're going to inflate those temperatures by tomorrow. If you like the 80s, you definitely want to see big weather coming your way next.